Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Dyslexia in the Elementary Years. So, this particular video will be focusing on effective instruction for students with dyslexia. So, if you've been following along in this series, we first talked about the characteristics of dyslexia and then the science behind dyslexia. So, in this particular video, we'll really be talking about what we can do to help students who have dyslexia. So, let's jump right in. First, let's talk about the definition of dyslexia, just to remind ourselves exactly what it is. So, dyslexia is a phonological disability, meaning that students have a hard time manipulating sounds. And this disability really is rooted in the left parietal temporal region of the brain. So, this area is key for reading skills. And students with dyslexia show an underactivation of these zones. So, many of the strategies we'll talk about today are really intended to help rewire the brain and activate those key areas. So, first, we're going to talk about direct explicit instruction. So, around the year 2000, there was a group called the National Reading Panel, and this group looked at over 100,000 studies surrounding reading, and they identified critical skills that are essential for reading success. And one of the key findings of this review is that literacy instruction really needs to be direct and explicit. That means there's nothing left to chance. Students are not asked to guess, and they're not expected just to learn how to read strictly by a warm environment. Learning to read really involves explicit instruction of key skills such as phonics, phonemic awareness, handwriting, spelling, composition. Any of those literacy skills that need to be mastered should be taught directly. And that means that they need to be modeled directly, and they also need to allow students plenty of time to practice those skills. All right, moving on. So the second one is an emphasis on phonemic awareness and phonics, which shouldn't surprise you given that we now know that dyslexia is a phonological disability. So that same group, the National Reading Panel, when they did their massive literature review, they identified 5 key components of reading: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So, because students with dyslexia have a phonological disability, focusing on those first 2 components is really, really critical because these 2 components allow students to have better word recognition, which makes for more accurate reading and faster reading, which then allows students to be able to comprehend what they've read. So, really, you can see that these first 2 skills lay the groundwork for the following skills of fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. As we already know, this is well supported by research. So, phonetically based programs have proven to be effective for students with dyslexia time and time again. And the brain imaging shown right here demonstrates just how there's improved activation in key reading areas after having one of these phonetically or phonologically based programs for students with dyslexia. After a program like that, focusing on phonics and phonemic awareness, that activation in those key reading areas really gets fired up and the brain has been rewired, which is wonderful. All right, so some program examples. So if you are a parent who has a child with dyslexia or suspected dyslexia, you might want to look for a tutor that applies one of these following programs, or you could ask your child's school if they use any of the strategies that go with these kinds of programs. Or many schools, maybe the special education department focuses on, they might have the curriculum for one of these programs, or there might be teachers in the building who are trained for one of these programs. It really is just if you are looking for some support for your child or for a student, these programs have been shown to be effective, and they are all research based. All right, moving on. So the next one and the final one we'll be talking about tonight is multisensory instruction, which is so fun. So this type of instruction is used to engage various sensory systems such as visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile. And by focusing on these many systems, they actually can help to build more connections in the brain, which then helps with that rewiring we've been talking about. So this type of multisensory instruction that we're discussing is a hallmark of many of these dyslexia programs. And although they are highly regarded among clinicians, the multisensory instruction does need a little bit more research to really prove its effectiveness. Again, it is highly regarded and it is really a hallmark of any of these high quality programs. But the literature does seem to say that multisensory instruction, it has a hard time sort of being set aside, and they need more studies where there are more controls and just accounting for some of the other variables that might be in the mix. But some examples of multisensory instruction are shaving cream writing, sandpaper letters, using hand movements, Alconin boxes, which is this example right here with the word shop, and skywriting, just kind of anything that can integrate all these different systems in order to help the brain learn. They are super effective and they are also very fun and engaging. All right, so here's a great video of multisensory instruction. So I cannot embed the video in this presentation. So I'm going to have you pause right here and then go to the YouTube description of my video, and it's going to say video 1, and then there'll be a link to another video that will show you a great example of multisensory instruction. Once you've watched that video, you can meet me back here. We are at timestamp 6 minutes, 20 seconds. All right. And then now is another great video of multisensory instruction. So for this one, they're doing Alconin boxes that I was talking about just a moment ago, but they put a fun little spin on it. So you're going to pause again and then go follow the link that's listed as video 2. Meet me back here. Right now, the timestamp is 6 minutes, 45 seconds. All right, so as I hope you saw in those videos, using multisensory instruction not only is effective for the children, but it's also just really fun and exciting. So go out and try some of those strategies. All right, so thank you so much for joining me on this final video. We actually have one more video that we'll be following, and it's sort of a wrap up just to kind of reinforce what we've learned and also to provide some more resources for anyone out there who's trying to support a child with dyslexia. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on our next video.